Hey guys, your boy Eli from the Geek Centurions with my good brother Joey. Hey Joey, how you doing?
Doing pretty swell,
Yeah, and we
Yeah.
just got finished watching the first episode of Watchmen, HBO's Watchmen. And quick note, I thought it was a pretty okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. Given the fact that I think the last time we talked about it, I didn't really know what I was gonna go into. Uh, Honestly, kind of liked it so far. The first episode's pretty.
Yeah, I would say it's a very standard first episode.
Yeah,
It's a lot of setup.
yeah, a lot of setup for a 6 episode run. So
Actually, I think it went up. I think 6 episodes were confirmed. I think we have on like 9 at this moment.
oh, they announced more episodes now.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, so I'm excited to see where it goes.
Yeah.
So just a quick rundown about what the episode was about. It's essentially, it starts off with, I didn't know this at the time until I did some research, and I remember I think it was a Forbes article that helped me out with it. It starts off during the Black Wall Street massacre in Tulsa.
Yeah, I also did not realize that the opening event was actually a historical event.
Yeah, and like we didn't know that because it starts off with this like black and white film, a silent film. You know more about those kind of
Well,
stuff.
I mean, yeah, it's just kind of like it's just a black and white film. I don't think there's anything.
Yeah, no, but I later found out that and I'll go into this later.
Yeah.
That there's a significance to that, and also one cool thing about it, we get this sort of kid who sees the movie, he's inspired by it, and then it's everything starts going to hell.
I mean, yeah, he's a black child, so
Yeah, and this is during the Black Wall Street massacre, was a huge sort of race riot, and sort of that sort of a key thing is that he is an African American. He is in the middle of this huge thing, and sort of we go into that, and then there's this sort of can you say it for me? I have a hard time.
specific.
Juxtaposition, I think it's called.
Juxtaposition.
There we go.
Juxtaposition.
It is an X, and I keep thinking the X sound, but no. But what is there we go into like something that you kind of see modern day, which is a cop pulling over somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so like that's like the rundown of the first like 10 minutes, 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And so like something happens there, and it all goes into like it helps you introduce you to the world and introduce you to the big problems. One which being this sort of Rorschach cult called the Seventh Cavalry.
Yeah.
And
we mentioned that bit in that first video, but yeah, they are definitely a crazy gang of white dudes.
Yeah, it's clearly obvious they're sort of a modern day representation of like. And I wish, and just to let you guys know, we're not very political people, but there is a clear sense of white nationalist.
Yeah, there's definitely that vibe. I mean, the sort of the protagonists of the episode sort of referenced them as white supremacy, like.
Yeah, and
groups.
that's also like because of the problem that we have earlier with what's going on, we're led into our main character played by Regina King. I was going to call her Rashida Jones. I'm like, it's not Rashida Jones.
No, that's bad. Don't do that.
No, I don't want to do that. No, but Rashida King. So she is a former policewoman turned vigilante. Kind of works with the police, and it sort of becomes this not a murder mystery, but like a crime drama, trying to find out who did what and all the kind of stuff, and then we're laid into sort of the big mystery of what happens is like something's going on. Clearly, these Rorschach fanatics, the Seventh Cavalry, are up to something we don't know, and then we get this notion of Jeremy Irons' character, who we all pretty much assume it's going to be Ozymandias. I mean, they don't call him Ozymandias.
Yeah, he's living in a castle. He has like maids and butlers and all that stuff,
Who I think are robots.
I mean,
wouldn't surprise me.
It wouldn't surprise me considering he's supposed to be the smartest man ever.
Yeah.
So
And so like there's this. He's there. He's doing some weird stuff. I know you were weirded out by one of those things.
Yeah, no, he just has a maid massaging his thighs, and like from the way it's angled, it looks like she's doing something completely different. But then they explain like, oh, okay, she's just massaging his thighs. I guess that's kind of
stop giving me those ideas, man.
It's like, all right. I feel like they knew what they were doing there. They just wanted to fake out the audience.
Yeah.
For that, yeah.
And later on, there's this. We find out there's a relationship between Regina King's character and I'm forgetting the Don Johnson's character, whose name is Chief Judge Crawford. By the way, Regina King's character's name is Dr. Angela Barr, whose vigilante name is Sister Night.
Yeah, she dresses up as a nun.
I don't really see it though.
I see it. Like, she has the rosary. She like has like.
Oh, that was okay. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's a rosary, dude.
I thought it was something completely different. To be honest, we're
you,
not going into that.
You told me when I was watching the episode because you watched it first and then I watched it later.
Yeah, this is this is my second viewing. This is Joey's first viewing because I like to watch it at least twice to understand to notice all the little details and like to notice stuff that's going on.
That's fair. Yeah.
So Regina King's character, she's goes by Sister Night. Also, we forgot to mention she has a family.
Yeah, she has a husband and like
3 daughters.
Yeah, and they don't mention much of it. I guess it's not. They don't explain it. Like,
and we can go into this there will be a spoiler portion in this.
Yeah.
We'll go into that. But no, the whole family dynamic is what is a very interesting notion. There's also a lot of weird stuff going on. You can clearly tell this is set after the book.
Yeah, like there's like just weird stuff that just happens that's just part of like normal life for people.
Yeah, and like there's like context within like the dialogue that like tells you, oh, this is what happened. You know, this is what maybe happened. This is something there.
Yeah.
Especially with I'm forgetting his name, but I think is Tim Blake Nelson. I have the list of actors on my laptop right here.
Yeah.
Who plays as Wade / Looking Glass. That's his there. You probably seen him in the trailers. He's that dude with the mask that like is very reflective.
Yeah,
very Rorschach like in my opinion.
Yeah. It's interesting.
Yeah, no, he comes in. He says some stuff that caught my attention. But there's a lot more details in the story, and there's an interesting way. The way it ends is probably the thing that I like the most. It ends in the same way I would say the first few chapters begin for Watchmen. The first few pages of the first issue.
Yeah.
Like there's a scene where something happens and you have a badge or something and there's a drop of blood landing on it.
Yeah. Like much like the iconic,
the smiley face.
Yeah.
It's not a spoiler.
Not really.
No, but so your thoughts on the episode as is?
I like sort of the pacing of it. And I just sort of like. It is sort of interesting just seeing how the world is, and like just seeing how like people are just sort of living their daily lives. There's even like some pop culture stuff involved with like there's like I guess kind of a parody of American Crime Story, but it's American Hero Story.
Yeah, it was about the Minutemen.
Yeah, and like it's all about like them and like what they've done and what they do and all that stuff. Which it's kind of like one of those like little small details that kind of really fleshes out the world. Yeah,
it's so those of you who have never read the books, the Minutemen predated basically the group that we later see to be known as the Watchmen. They were like these more fun-looking characters.
Yeah,
you had I think his name was Dollar Bill.
Yeah. They showed like all the names: the original Silk Spectre, Dollar Bill, the comedian. Yeah.
There's the hooded dude. I can't remember his name.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so like I'm with you. That's like a nice little touch. I knew that because I read the book, and I've also seen the movie. Because let's face it, most of the people who probably see this show have probably seen the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's what I really liked about that. It's that it lets you know the time has passed. And I've seen some of those like true crime stories, and they're pretty good. And so like seeing that there, it's like a nice indication. Also, did you notice that technology is kind of weird?
Yeah, sort of. It's kind of like, yeah, it's always like it's set in like modern day, but like clearly it's like a bit different from our modern day.
Yeah.
Like I believe like there's a scene of like some guy in a car, like it looks like he's in an electric car, like right, like
yeah.
There's like indicators on his
yeah. There's a huge battery image in there.
Yeah, like sort of reflecting like the how much battery the car has. So yeah, it's definitely like a weird mixture of technology, and I kind of want to see like
Yeah, because like they
where that
don't have.
goes.
It's 2019, and by now we all know. 2019, we all have phones. Like I got my iPhone right here, but they have pagers,
Yeah, it's
which are such a 90s thing.
it's certainly like
Like they didn't develop the way that we've developed. I think that's a cool way for them to show this is a different world.
well, yeah. Also, the fact that it's just like it's like various technologies that even like the police have. It's sort of very interesting.
Yeah. Um. So you like that? Was there anything else that you can like tell me about that you liked about the show?
Uh, yeah, I think everything about it just pretty solid. Like, there's solid acting. Like the action looks more or less like how like the action would look like on an HBO show. You know.
Yeah, there's a scene that it gets real bloody, real quick, and it's I'm thinking like, man, I've seen a lot of Game of Thrones. This is kind of tame, to be honest.
Well, I mean, I feel like they're not trying to go for
No,
that.
they're not trying to go Game of Thrones. Let's hope there's no Red Wedding. The third season, if there is a third season.
Yeah, but no, it's just there's a lot of decent money behind this. Everything looks nice.
Mm-hmm.
Everything looks like the framing for lots of shots look good, and yeah, I think it's just a solid like first episode. You know.
Yeah, and the thing, and so like that's your take on the first episode. For me, I'm more intrigued in this episode than I would say like blown out of my mind.
Yeah, I kind of agree
yeah,
with
it's
that.
like we said earlier, there's a lot of cool setup. I'm interested to see how this world is going. There's a lot of stuff that tells you how much things have changed. Like, where are we in terms of what's going on in the world? And it's funny because remembering the book, and I think even the movie was touching on this. I can't remember that being a vigilante, wearing masks has been outlawed, but yet now in this series we have characters, policemen wearing masks.
Yeah, and not only that, but like clearly there's vigilantes working with the police, and I think there's at least one of them that's like wearing a panda mask thing.
Yeah, and I want to see more of that character.
I think he's just because he looks very funny, but it's interesting because like I think he's on the police force.
He is, and if you pay attention to the dialogue, he has this sort of, and they show it off. He's clearly, they show it off in that scene where we see him, but he's mentioned earlier, and they talk to him about doing this and that, and whether or not they're allowed to. So it's kind of interesting to see how that kind of goes.
Yeah, he's sort of a by the books guy.
Yeah, he's by the books, and you notice that in the first few minutes when we talked about earlier with the policeman stopping a guy. Also, like like I said earlier, we're not political. There's a clear commentary on like police brutality.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if we want to get into. Like,
no. I mean, but we're just noting that, and
there's seeds of like various like kind of like political stuff that's like happening in the now, which I find slightly interesting.
Yeah, and there's a lot of more stuff going on. There's a scene, and we're gonna go into it in our spoiler portion that caught me off guard, and it was in a classroom.
Yeah, I think I know.
That caught me off guard. So this is what I'm saying. I have to to watch it twice because the second time watching, I understood what he said. I understood what he meant, which made it all the more like, oh, so this is the world this is the town we're living in. This is the kind of, and there's a lot of detail in it more than I noticed watching it the second time. That makes a lot of sense. We're not from Tesla. I think that's maybe how that place is.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I'm pretty sure they just film it somewhere else. Though. Yeah,
but I mean, there's a clear cultural thing going on.
Yeah,
but it's really impressive looking. I'm interested. I said this before in our past talk. I'm interested to see where this takes the characters because again, Jeremy Irons' character. It's not confirmed, but we're basically saying it's Ozymandias.
Yeah, most likely.
Yeah, he's up to something.
Yeah, no, it's definitely like it definitely hints that he's wanting to do
Something big.
Yeah, especially in like the preview for like the next episode.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I assume like the next like episodes, because like at the end they show like a preview of like what's to come.
Yeah.
In the following episodes, and he's clearly sort of like humanity's ready to evolve and change now, and let's do this thing.
Yeah, I mean you can find that on any.
Yeah.
So it's not really spoilers.
Yeah, not really.
Previews aren't really spoilers; they just give you hints of what might come. But no, the world is probably the most interesting thing that I've seen about this show. They have stuff. It's interesting that it's said it now, and you can and already you know what's the difference.
Yeah.
There's clear. It's. I don't know if Damon Lindelof, who's worked on like all these different series like Leftovers, Lost. I don't know if he's trying to say like a I don't know if he's trying to have a message.
Yeah.
Because like it's like there's a lot of stuff that happens that's like clearly like indicated of this is what's going on now.
Yeah.
And so I'm not saying there is, I'm not saying there isn't. If you find one, that's nice. If you don't, that's fine. But like if there's this sort of idea that something's that is clearly supposed to be commentary on what's going on now. Also like the way everything plays off. Like there's something going on. I also like how past characters are kind of involved, even though they're not in there. And I'm talking specifically about Rorschach.
Well, yeah, obviously, like he has like the fact that like the 7 calories a thing is like it's kind of like like his whole like he still have his presence, but obviously it's being co-opted by like a radical organization.
It's weird how I don't think he would be a part of that.
I mean, I don't think he would I don't know. It's interesting.
Like they take one of his lines about and we'll go into this later, but they take this line that he has that it's totally taken out of context and kind of made more to appease their cause.
Yeah. No, I get.
Yeah, and like it's interesting to see how that's playing out. But yeah, I mean it's a good first episode.
Yeah.
I mean I think we both said everything we clearly wanted to say about it.
Yeah, without like going that deep into spoilers.
Yeah.
So
because we're like teetering in there because we want to say spoilers.
Yeah.
And so we're probably gonna say that real soon. But let me ask you this, Joey.
Yeah.
Anything that you're looking forward to in what's to come, or anything you want to see now that you've seen the first episode?
Just sort of like kind of where the story goes.
Yeah.
Like obviously like it's a sequel series. It's after Watchmen and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But like I just kind of just like want to see like a lot more of the world, like what's really different, like. And just sort of like where this all ends,
Yeah, and there's little hints here and there, and I asked you about them because I noticed them, and asked you about your thoughts, and you're like, this is probably what's going on, and I want to see how this world kind of reacts to that. I'm 100% in agreement with that. For me, it's like where are we going with this story? Because at the end, it's kind of like it goes back to being like kind of like Watchmen was at first. It's like a whodunit.
Yeah,
because at the end something happens, someone says this and that, but you're like, I don't know, and I want to know more.
Yeah.
Where
absolutely.
are we going?
Yeah.
And I found out that there's supposed to be more appearances from the old characters.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so I think Silk Spectre is supposed to show up. I think maybe Owlman is supposed to show up.
I mean, Night Owl.
Night Owl, yeah.
Yeah.
Owlman is.
Yeah. That's all right. Let's get out of that one.
Yeah, that Owlman is the evil version of Batman.
Yeah. No, that's kind of also like, I guess something interesting that I would like to see. Like, if these old characters do show back up, what are their roles gonna be? Like, are they just gonna be like glorified cameos? You know, like
Yeah, and the one character that they're teasing, especially because he was such a big portion of the book, and even in the DC sequel series Doomsday Clock, is Doctor Manhattan.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like there's a scene, and it's in the trailer, so it's not really spoiler. It just shows Doctor Manhattan on Mars, like he's building stuff.
Yeah. It's like a news
Like-
report. It's sort of like it's just a passing detail that just like shows up. No one really mentions it.
Yeah, but in the preview for for the upcoming episode, you see a blue hand waving his finger like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so like I'm interested to see what he's up to, because he was always one of the more interesting characters in the book and in the movie, which is again one of the few things I give Zack Snyder for in terms of that movie.
Right.
Yeah, but I think we're reaching a point where we said all we said.
Well, yeah, I feel like that. Yeah.
Yeah, so just to let you guys know that we're about to go into spoilers. So if you haven't seen the show, if you want to see it at some point, but you don't want to get spoiled, stop the video now, take a break, go outside, bask in the sun, then go back inside, watch the show, and then watch our video. That was a long joke that wasn't needed, was it?
I mean, you did your best.
I did my best. Yeah. So we're going to spoilers right now. I'm gonna give you 5 more seconds. Okay, Joey, spoiler time. Anything that caught you off guard that makes you want to talk about it?
Spoiler wise, just sort of like the fact that that obviously the Don Johnson's character gets lynched. That's just gonna happen.
Yeah. There's earlier and we said that there's like clear indications of racial stuff. It starts off with a race riot known as the Black Wall Street Massacre, which happened in Tulsa. We're first introduced to like this young African American kid who's watching a movie. I didn't know this until I did some research on it. That film is actually based on an actual dude. His name is Bass Reeves.
Interesting.
Yeah, who was he was the first black deputy U.S. Marshal west of the Mississippi River, sorry. And he's arrested more than 3,000 felons. He shot and killed 14 people in self-defense. Okay. That is a Wikipedia article.
Yeah, I was about to say that sounds very mechanical. I'm not gonna lie. Like you don't know that off the top of your head.
No, I did not. I just pulled that out of my phone.
Yeah,
came out of my ass. No, but it's interesting because he's off like saying we do not go with mob justice, the justice of the law. Kid repeats it, and then like I feel like that's gonna be the whole theme of the book of the show as it goes along.
Yeah, I think that definitely might be like a thing.
Yeah, and then later on his mom takes him out of the theater along with his dad. His parents can take the kid out of his theater, and you're introduced immediately to like a huge race riot. Like there's clans, there's people dying, clearly who are black. And I told you there was a scene that got me off guard. Like this is one of the scenes that caught me off guard. There's a black kid with a dead baby in his arms.
Yeah, it's definitely like not a great time for people there.
Yeah, no, it's also holding no punches.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we're going straight in, and the reason I said earlier there's a huge juxtaposition of it is that there's this whole race riot. The Klan and all that stuff, and then we go to the future, which is the current time, because the Tulsa thing happened in 1921.
Yeah,
and so now it's 2019, and then we have an officer stopping a man, and the first thing you notice is the officer is wearing a mask.
Yeah,
because they mentioned this later on, is that there was an event called the White Night.
Yeah,
which I'm guessing is probably this whole, and we'll go into that later on. When we get to Regina King's character, but essentially something happened, caused all these policemen to wear masks now to protect their identity, and we go more into that later on. And then the moment he asked for like their this dude who's a white guy, and I'm not trying to make this about a race thing, but it's kind of like what they're like.
Yeah, it's kind of like what the show's trying to make it a race thing.
Yeah, and it's not a bad thing. It's not.
Yeah,
no. Because you notice immediately that the dude has the guy who's being stopped is a white guy. He has a Rorschach mask hidden in the glove compartment.
Yeah.
And this is what I'm saying. It's kind of a comment on like modern day police brutality. Because immediately the policeman goes back in his car. He radios to use his gun.
Yeah, like his gun is locked into like a special holster that needs authorization in order to be pulled out.
Yeah, and he calls them to have it notarized. And that's when we're introduced to Panda, the guy you talked about earlier.
Yeah.
Who, like you said, is very by the books. Like, he's asking him all these questions, like, and the guy's like, dude, I need my gun.
Yeah, like, he's like, listen, I'm pretty positive this guy is probably going to shoot me.
I'm pretty sure as soon as he looks at me, he's like, I gotta kill this dude.
Yeah, so, and that's sort of what happens, is like, he literally, as soon as like the gun is able to be...
Which, by the way, great tension.
Yeah, it's good, yeah, solid tension. But yeah, no, he's able to pull out the gun, but he gets gunned down by the by the dude who immediately has his like Rorschach mask on, and then like sort of drives off.
Yeah,
and then that's sort of like the inciting incident to like the episode where like it's sort of like the indication of like the 7th Cavalry is back because apparently they've been sort of
gone for 3 years.
Yeah. And now, like, the police officers are like, we gotta, like, figure out who did this. And,
like, before that, we were introduced to Regina King's character, who, is, like, in a classroom. It's career day, so she's showing off some cool stuff, because she's a baker.
Yeah. Like, she's a baker by day, and, vigilante by night.
Yeah, and it's funny, because they ask her, what was your job before this? And she says, well, I was a policewoman. And you can clearly tell that what happened to her. She was a policewoman until the White Knight thing that we talked about earlier, where which led to as she said, led to a lot of the policemen started wearing masks. She was shot, and then she goes into like this very vivid detail. By the way, this is a classroom for like 4th graders, 3rd graders. These are kids, and she's talking about having her intestines pulled out.
Yeah, it's pretty.
Like the teacher has like.
Yeah.
Stop.
Yeah, it's definitely weird.
Yeah, and that's also where we're introduced to her daughter.
Yeah.
And like we're also, if you pay attention to like a lot of the background stuff, there's also indication of like how this world is. Like, in the book, Richard Nixon was like president for like what, 5 terms?
Yeah, probably. I believe so.
And in this continuity, because it ends with like saying that Robert Redford is going to be going up for president. We talked about it last time. Robert Redford is president at this point. You see his picture in the background.
Yeah.
So you clearly know he's been president for a while. I think he's still president somehow, because there's no law saying that 2 terms is the only thing you get.
Yeah.
And so that's when we're introduced to like the idea of the world, because there's this kid. He's white. This is the thing that caught me off guard and made me want to rewatch it twice. When she's talking about opening up her baking shop, he immediately asks, "Was that what was it called?"
Was that like from Redford Patience or whatever?
Yeah, and it's you were telling me it's a clear nod to.
Well, yeah, it's
reparations.
Yeah, reparations, which is like a thing that governments have like. I think the U.S. has done in terms of like giving like money and stuff like that to like people who've been like done wrong, like the Japanese Japanese American citizens during World War II and being sent into internment camps, Native Americans, all that stuff.
Yeah, and so that's what I thought he said at first. And I wasn't like, is that what he meant? And then you came in like, yeah, that's what he meant. And so we're introduced, and then her daughter attacks him, basically.
Yeah, because she's like, clearly you're only saying that because she's, black or whatever.
Yeah. By the way, all 3 of her daughters are white.
Yeah, and it's not addressed like in this first episode, but like our standing theory is that they're just adopted. Like, there's nothing really to it.
Yeah, because she said she got shot in the stomach area, pulled his intestines. I'm guessing she was probably shot they probably shot her in the womb.
I mean, it's possible. I mean, that hasn't been explained. But I mean, like further episodes.
That would make sense.
Yeah, further episodes might just clear
or maybe they just don't want to have kids. Or maybe I don't know. They clearly make a comment that he's not a racist, but he's on his way to be one, because those are comments that would refer to, I'm guessing, the world that they're in.
Yeah, it's like that, and like possibly like just comments that are said by like the 7th Cavalry. Probably.
Yeah, and he looks like one of the characters from the 7th Cavalry. Yeah, he looks kind of like that. That's me. I'm sorry. But no. And then this is the indication what I'm saying, that this is set in the same world with and there's clearly something that has happened, because immediately as soon as they leave school, it starts raining squids.
Yeah, like these tiny little like squids, and like it's just like an everyday occurrence. Like literally, like after it passes for a few seconds, and literally
they just clean up.
Yeah, they just like send cleaners just to clean up all the squids, and it just like no one like questions it. It's just sort of a regular occurrence, and it's super interesting. Which I think you mentioned that it's probably like an after effect of what happened in the comics.
Yeah, because in the comics it ends with this giant squid monster looking thing with one eye.
Yeah,
and that's why I'm like, this is probably an after effect of that. But no, it's interesting because later on the what's his character's name again? Looking Glass Wade, Tim Blake Nelson's character. He mentions like, are you one of those guys that believe that what happened in New York was a conspiracy theory?
Yeah.
Yeah, so like it's like we're in this weird world where it's either not accepted or something's going on.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting. But no, later on we're introduced to no, we're not introduced. I'm sorry. Later on, Regina King's character, Angela. I'm just gonna call them by their actor's name. I can't really remember a lot of character names. I'm sorry. Yeah. But no, Regina King's character gets a call through her pager, which is one of the things that I'm saying. Technology in this situation is weird.
Yeah.
Where they have pagers instead of phones. They're getting calls. She just gets to like, we need you, and then she immediately goes to her baking shop, which has been, I'm guessing, closed for a while or in construction.
Yeah, like she mentioned, like she passes by an old dude in a wheelchair who asked her like when the baking shop was going to open. So
then he gives her this weird other indication that he can, she believes that he can lift 20 pounds and stuff like that. So it's more interesting and stuff like that. Yeah, she suits up and she immediately drives to like this trailer park where like it's obvious these guys are more conservative.
Yeah, they have like a statue of like Richard Nixon like right in front of the trailer park. So
yeah, and there's someone clearly spray painted on their trailer park, "Fuck Robert Redford."
Yeah. So
this LA, and Robert Redford's a known liberal. Nixon was a conservative. So it's kind of hard not to disconnect that. Like I've said it before, we're not very political people, but it's very hard to disconnect that idea of it.
Yeah. It's definitely sort of a.
Well, us talking about it, I mean,
yeah, us talking about it, yeah, but like the show definitely like is pushing that stuff out there. And I'm pretty sure it's just gonna get more political like that throughout the show.
Mm-hmm. I mean, not saying that the book was not political at that point.
Yeah, obviously not.
No, there's a clear like stuff to be said. It was during the. It was during they written it to be sort of during the Red Scares, the whole thing.
I mean, yeah, obviously.
Yeah, nuclear war, and I think it's interesting how in this one they're kind of doing race.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know if that's a statement for this, but I'm not gonna go into that. But no, she captures the dude. They bring him, and that's where we get this whole scene of you're talking about the cavalry coming in with this whole speech.
Yeah.
And the thing I said earlier, with like they clearly took a page from Rorschach's notebook, except took it to use that passage for themselves, and not what he meant, was the black filth that we washed away with these liberal tears, and when they shout out for us to help them, save them, we will whisper no.
Yeah.
That was a totally different situation. He was talking. I think he was talking more about corruption.
Yeah.
And like a lot of the gross stuff that was happening around them. Because if you go reading the book, there's just a lot of dirty shit everywhere. Someone's doing something, a lot of backroom dealings, and it's stuff like that. But they're using that as like washing the black filth. Yeah.
Yeah. They use it in a very sort of non-subtle way.
Yeah, non-subtle way. It's just like, because it's weird how they're taking Rorschach's words and saying, this is why we gotta get rid of. Then we're like, no, that is not what he meant. And then and because of like the ensuing threat that these guys are, they have an argument on whether or not they should be allowed to use their guns.
Yeah.
Which is and like then we brought back Panda, who everyone's like, man, fuck Panda.
Yeah, he literally just pulls out a binder like
that's just a binder. That's like twice the size of the Bible.
Yeah, it's
4 times really.
It's all just a bunch of like police procedures and rules, and everybody's just like, man, come on, just let's just use guns, man. Come on. It's like, listen, you gotta like follow the rules, guys. And
he even looks at Don Johnson's character, saying like, you'll regret this decision to go all open firearms on these, open season on these mofos. But he didn't say that, but that's basically what he said.
Yeah.
But and he's like, well, it's looking back at it, his line was a lot funnier.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know about that. He just goes, it's just my funeral, I guess.
Yeah, and we'll get to that later. And I'm pretty sure you're going to tell when this goes. Then later on, they have a little. They interrogate the guy, and that's where you see Looking Glass's sort of weird machine thing. What was that?
Yeah, it's like a dome thing that just sort of like projects a bunch of images around the subject, because
and it's a lot of like they show it helps you like the world, because they show a lot of cool stuff, some stuff that pretty much proves that this is sort of a race thing. I don't know.
Well, yeah, he just like he just like, because he's interrogating a alleged member of the 7th Cavalry, and he just like just shows a bunch of images, like Rorschach images, or images of Klansmen, Confederate flag looking thing.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, like a bunch of like all these sort of like.
And he's seeing how he reacts.
Yeah, and like that's basically like his way of like trying to figure out whether this guy is part of the 7th Cavalry or not, because like he's like looking.
And he's giving him like keywords, like what if I defecated on the flag, kind of stuff.
Yeah, like he's like trying to say stuff to like get like reactions out of him.
Yeah, and did you remember that they said apparently Vietnam is a state?
Oh yeah, right. Like they mentioned in the classroom that Vietnam is like a U.S. state now.
Yeah, because the Regina King's character said that she grew up in Vietnam, and the teacher was like, "Oh, was that before or after it became a state?" I'm like, "Wait, what?"
Yeah, it's definitely interesting.
I want to see what Kelvin thinks about that. His family is Vietnamese, so I want to hear his thoughts on that. But later on, it goes into then they start beating the crap out of him to get more words, because clearly he's obviously part of the 7th Cavalry. But
he's not going to talk, so they beat the shit out of him to get a confession.
Which I was confused, because at first I was like, is that water or is that? Oh, it's water and blood. So wait, did they like waterboard him or something?
No, I'm pretty sure there's just water in the and there's just like some laying on water, and then blood started to flow in.
Okay, Jesus.
I didn't hear any water being splashed around in there, so I assume she just beat the shit out of him.
Yeah, because Virginia King's character does not give up.
Yeah, she definitely does not like the 7th Cavalry.
Well, you can probably guess that they're the ones that shot her.
Yeah.
Considering it was called White Knight.
Yeah. It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and then they go into the attack on like this base where they were looking, because the whole point is that they're looking for the guy who shot the policeman.
Yeah, and so they go to one of their
hideouts,
and like it leads to a big fight. There's a machine gun. There's CGI cows getting slaughtered. There's a whole bunch of stuff, and then
Jesus, they tore that cow up.
Yeah, no, and it was a lot of
and they're clearly up to something because they're whatever reason they're dismantling a watch.
Yeah, they're dismantling a bunch of watches, taking out like the batteries inside them, and like possibly gonna do something, most likely like a terror attack on what we don't know yet. It's all up in the air.
Yeah, and later on, they capture them, but some of them get away, in an airplane, which I'm like, where the hell did they get that? And then from there, we find out they have their own little Archie, which is like the ship that the Night Owl has.
Yeah, like the police force had its own like little like ship thing, and it's like kind of like I don't know. I find that slightly interesting.
It's weird, and yeah, because you're wondering where the hell did they get this, and the dialogue like tells you that we can just buy this anywhere. I'm like, wait, what? What's going on?
Yeah, like yeah, I just find it so very odd. But I guess more to the point, like I think they do find the guy, but he like takes a cyanide pill before like they can like bring him in. So
yeah, and that already gives you like the idea of this terrorist group, like they're willing to die for their cause, and they're kind of like nuts.
Yeah, they're clearly off the deep end.
Yeah, and later, yeah, and then before we go to the later on what happened, we forgot to talk about Adrian Veidt, the Ozymandias.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because earlier, and we talked about this with the older guy who was waiting for who was like by the store waiting for it to open up and stuff. He has a newspaper that says Adrian Veidt presumed dead, or is dead.
Okay, yeah.
And then yet we see him in like this countryside, and I'm guessing it's probably Europe.
Most likely, considering the accents, yes.
Yeah. And later, and from there we get like we see what's going on. He's doing some weird stuff. His possible robot butler. They give him, like, it's also his birthday, I guess.
Well, no, they said it was his anniversary. To what? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you're right, but then like he gets a watch, and that immediately means something. And here's like a quick reference, and I'm pretty sure there's more references that I didn't catch. But he was like writing a play called The Watchmaker's Son, which is a clear like nod to Dr. Manhattan, whose father was a watchmaker.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. And later on, now going back to Regina King's story, because that was a little small excerpt with Jeremy Irons' character, which I thought was going to be a lot more, but that was just like that.
Yeah.
It's indicated there's going to be a lot more, but right now it's just that.
Yeah.
But no, Regina King's character we find out is a really close friends with Don John's character, who, like I said, is the chief of police. They're having like nice little meal. I think he was snorting coke.
I don't know. I don't. He definitely took something. I don't know what it was.
Yeah, and they're just having a fun family time. And later on, they get a call saying the guy that was shut up just woke up because he was in a coma or something. Oh
yeah, he was in a coma because he got shot.
Yeah,
multiple times.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure I know what the coma is for.
Yeah, because I don't feel like we mentioned that. That's what I'm saying.
All right, yeah.
So he wakes up. He's on his way. His wife's like, you should probably go with some people. It's like, nah, I got this, sweetie. I got this. And for whatever reason, they put a lot of emphasis on him getting dressed.
Well, I mean, I'm pretty sure it's just there to like build up tension to like, is something bad gonna happen to him?
Yeah, and something does, and it ends up being where he gets, he's driving his car to meet up to find out what happened. There's someone laid out a trap for him.
Yeah, like a spike trap.
Yeah, and then like there's a quick flash of light as soon as he gets out of his car, and Regina King's character gets a call saying, "Come to this area for this stuff," and she goes, and that's where we see the old man again.
Yeah,
who I'm saying is most likely the kid we saw at the beginning.
The beginning of the episode.
Yeah, the kid that was in the theater watching that.
Right, because the old man does. I mean, in the preview for what's coming up next, she's interrogating him, and like he says, "I'm 105 years old." So,
yeah, well, not just that. If earlier in the beginning, when he was given to this family to escape with. His dad writes a little note saying, "Watch over this boy," and he had that note for like a long time. By the way, going back to the kid, he barely makes it out. The people that were in charge of him I don't know what happened. They get killed. He's fine.
The car gets into an accident.
Yeah, he's fine. There's a baby. He takes care of it, which we think is happening. Well, like he's taking care of it. We don't know what happens afterwards.
Yeah.
But he has the note saying, "Watch over this boy." And now at the end of the episode, the old man has the same letter saying, "Watch over this boy." And like you said, Don Johnson's character gets hanged.
Yeah, now he gets lynched, and then it transitions into the shot of the badge with the blood on it.
Yeah, because like you see like the whole thing, and I don't know, the way he's being hanged seems weird to me, and like it zooms in on the guy in the wheelchair, then and then it just follows all the way to the tree branch that had him hang, all the way down to like the badge where the drop of blood comes down, and that is the end of the episode.
Yeah, it's pretty much where the episode ends.
And it's like we said earlier, there's clearly a political edge to this.
Yeah,
because there's a lot of like talks about, this is going on with this is going on right now. Where Robert Redford's been president for a long time. He's doing what most liberal, like probably what most people think liberals would do.
Yeah,
and a lot of conservatives are very upset with that.
Yeah,
considering that they have a president for more than 2 terms in there, who's the same liberal president, like not saying anything about that.
Yeah.
And it's there's this whole like social commentary aspect of it, which I really like, and I'm going to see more of. And my thing is, it's kind of what the show needs to be.
Yeah, I think I can agree with that.
Yeah, because there's the whole whodunit for what the book was there, but it's also kind of like this sort of weird like in the background there's this whole political thing about nuclear war with Russia.
Yeah,
and so that's so that's what I'm saying. This is kind of what it needs, because you kind of need to find something that people will grasp onto immediately, and so that way they can be able to follow the story as it goes along. Because later on, because there's clearly something going on.
Well, yeah.
Adrian Veidt's doing something. The 7th Cavalry is up to something, and the 7th Cavalry are these white nationalist dudes who are up to something bad. We don't know what Adrian Veidt's up to, and for a reason, our character is the one who's trying to stop it.
Yeah,
and yeah, I'm very interested to see where this is going. It's I'm really interested to see where this take on Watchmen is going.
Yeah. I definitely agree. There's a lot of mystery there that hopefully gets resolved in these coming episodes. It just looks like it's gonna be a very unique series.
It's a good first episode. I remember hearing people who've seen, because they released the first episode early. Well, not early, but they had an early screening for it at New York Comic Con.
Yeah, and
I remember hearing people saying, "I wish it was had some funny moments to outweigh the bad." I don't think so.
Yeah, I think that just people who are just kind of used to a lot of superhero movies having lighthearted jokes, or
more lighthearted moments to outweigh the dark.
Yeah, but Watchmen was never like that.
Watchmen was never like that. I feel like having a funny moment would kind of feel very off.
Yeah,
it's supposed to be a very serious, kind of a downer book.
Yeah, so one would expect this HBO series to be a similar downer, serious show.
Yeah, so I'm very interested to see where they're taking this show now. After seeing the first episode, I want to know more.
Yeah, same.
I want to know more. I think that's about all I can say so far.
Yeah, I think I've also said.
Yeah, because it's interesting how they're doing all this weird stuff. It's very much it's very much commentary on what's going on right now. It's also a continuation to the book.
Yeah.
In such a weird way, because we kind of have 2 sequels going on, this one and Doomsday Clock.
Yeah.
And I feel like this one will probably have a lot more staying power than Doomsday Clock, because Doomsday Clock is kind of like this weird situation where it's in like the middle of limbo, where we're waiting so long to get to know what's going on, and at some point the steam will inevitably die down. But that we'll get to that when I do a book about when I talk about that book. But no, I'm just very surprised that they gave it such good hands for this one. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess. Hopefully, there's the showrunners and everybody involved definitely do the series justice. You know?
Yeah, and I'm very I'm very interested to see how it's going, because there's clearly more characters that are being involved. I want to see how this relates to the rest of the world. I want to see more about that true hero crime or whatever it was called.
American Hero story.
Yeah, that looks like fun. I feel like if that's gonna be if you're gonna have comedic moments, that's gonna be the comedic moment.
Possibly.
Yeah, but no, it's yeah. I think that's about it. All I can say for this this first episode review of Watchmen. Unless you got anything else to say.
No, it's a solid first episode. Definitely lays the groundwork for a lot of interesting things that happen in the series, and I want to see more.
Yeah, and I would say like a lot of stuff happened, even though it was a lot of setup.
Yeah, there's a lot of momentum, you know. And
yeah, it's you're throw. I would say it's a very like meh episode, but with a lot of great setup, because a lot of stuff does happen, and it leaves you in a world that makes you want to know more. Because I want to know why the hell is it raining squids.
Yeah.
Like, my theory is that it's because of it's the aftermath of the big stuff that happened in New York, or it's some weird shit.
Yeah, you never know.
You never know. I hope I get my answer. Probably not. Dr. Mahan's supposed to show up, and I'm really excited to see that. But, yeah, I think that's about it, and we're probably going to wrap this up. So, be sure to watch us when we talk about episode 2, which comes out next week. And you got anything else to say, Joey?
No, not really, no.
No, right then. So this has been your good pal, Joey.
Sup?
And it's been your boy, Eli, from the Geek Centurions. You can catch us on YouTube, CastBox, Google Play Podcast, Apple Podcast, Spotify, Pandora. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook. Twitter is going to come up soon, but for right now, Instagram is the big place to go. So, yeah. Be sure to catch us on any of our previous episodes where we talk about crazy stuff. If you guys want, go ahead and watch our Before Watchmen talk, where me and Joey talk more about our hypes and our concerns about the show. And if you ever want to get more into comics, I do recommend How to Get Into Comics video kind of stuff. Just trying to promote all of our past works out there. But no, it's been your boy Eli, it's been Joey, and we are the Geek Centurions, and we're signing out. Peace.